Hello MGTOWs, hello men, hello MRAs. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about cutting through the fog of traditionalism. There seems to be a few subsets or groups that we generally talk about when we in Mgtow talk amongst ourselves, and one of the groups is traditionalism. Traditionalism comes in a lot of different ways. It comes in the form of religion sometimes. It comes in the form of education sometimes. It's early learning from 1 to K-12 probably is where most men pick up their ideas of traditionalism from the churches, from schooling, depending where you're, what kind of schooling you get, what state you're in. Religion and school can kind of gently blend into some really bad ideas. We're told that we, grow up, we go to school, we go to college, we get married, we have children, and we grow old with our retirement and die. And that's that happy life's ideology. This is going to be this is the traditional idea. It's somehow if I do these things that my life is going to be a happy life, and that's what we're taught. That's what we're taught from school. Regular schooling teaches this. If you just keep your head up, keep working forward, these positive affirmations they give us for 12 years and education and religion, and then we get out there and we try to do what they tell us to do. Most of the time, we all know the statistics, 92% of the time it's going to be a failure. The problem is getting to men before they buy into this. In a very a red pill male, it can only take a single word sometimes, or a single phrase, a single paragraph, or just letting men know that there's other avenues here. Mgtow is another avenue. The MRA is another avenue. MRM is another avenue. PUA is another avenue for men than buying into traditionalism. There's a lot of other avenues, not generally. We think about ourselves as everyone, and we generalize, but as Stardust tells us, we shouldn't generalize because we're a small subset of a lot of different subsets. Sometimes I look at football fans as a different subset of traditionalism. Football fans act the way they do. Their lives generally revolve around the game of football. Within that group of football, they have core values, and some of it's traditional, and some of it's not. We can look around. We can look around and see what men do after they get to an age of 21, 22. Some men play baseball, some men go bowling, some men buy into sports, say ESPN, and a lot of those avenues are traditional avenues. ESPN and sports channels are very, very traditional, and we have to look at those avenues too as Mgtows. I go around Bleacher Report all the time, and if I see something gynocentric in Bleacher Report, and they're very sensitive on sports pages to gynocentrism. If there's a female author and she doesn't know what they're talking about, they will cut her up. They will. It seems to be an avenue that is overlooked by Mgtow, because generally a lot of Mgtows don't buy into football because of the marketing and the feminism that gets marketed at Mgtow. So we reject these things, but it doesn't mean that within recruiting and within proselytization to Mgtow ideologies that these men are off limits. No, that's two different things. What we boycott, we don't boycott the people, we boycott the product, and that's what I wanted to, make a point today. There's a lot of subsets just because they buy into a product that we don't generally like. doesn't mean we're boycotting person. We're reaching out to that person, that traditionalism, and saying, hey, your life, there's a good possibility, the percentage that say your life is not going to turn out the way you see it. And there's a good percentage of those men that are seeing that it's not going to turn out the way they planned. So I guess let's move forward here, and I guess what we're getting at is we got these subsets of traditionalism and conservatism, and we got the traditional conservative, and I did a video on this before. In the beginning of the 1900s, we get these ideas of romanticism, and it infects our whole culture. It affects everything. Romanticism infected everything, and we got Burgess values. If you do a little mind map of this, you can bring traditionalism right to Burgess values, and then you start talking about modernity and modernism. And when we get into modernism, it becomes problematic because you're buying into this idea of a society that's been skewed and biased by arts and culture and cultural Marxism, cubism, art, building art, the Museo National Art Renaissance Centers, and stuff like that. We get our ideas of life all just skewed by these ideas of romanticism, which is modernism. So I'm pretty sure that Stardust talked a lot about modernity and modernism as a philosophical movement along with cultural trends and changes. When we look at how we're going to combat and how we're going to recruit and who we want to recruit, and the biggest problem we have, we might as well tackle first, and that's the traditional conservative. And his ideas are based upon romanticism and modernism that is skewed by arts and painting and poems and buildings and modernism. Some commenters, I'll just read from a wiki page here. Some commenters define modernism as a mode of thinking. One are more philosophical, defined characteristics like self-consciousness and self-reference that runs across the novelties of arts and discipline. So we got these ideas of a reality being biased by arts and discipline and religion and beauty. When we talk about the traditional conservative, we see that he lives in a delusional world of modernism, where his idea replaces the modern world and the world that we have to live in, the natural world, with modernism. And it's not a good thing, and this comes on from K1 to K12. You get these ideas. We see the art. We see what happened, and we also see the war, and we see the First World War and the anti-technology and the nihilist aspects of the works and the divisive thinkers and artists that span from Nietzsche to Beckett, and it becomes very clear to MGTOWs that these people are living in a delusion, and that's what I often try to say when I talk to blue pill males, that you're living in a delusion created by modernity and romanticism. It was the romantic movement, and these people Actually, they want to go back to the 50s, but what they want to go back is the early 1930s and 1860s and 1850s. And if some of them had their choices, they would go back to the Victorian age, and they want a slave. And that's what we see, this thing progressing backwards to where women get a slave. And it all makes total sense, but try to explain to these idiots, it just goes right over their head. So we have to start formulating a mind map, at least, and that's what I'm starting to work on. I got a great comment and to go get a mind mapping and some mind mapping since I was a little off lately, and I did do that, and it's really working out, and we can start seeing these things right in front of us as they developed, and we have some kind of proof or just some, hey, look, here's the way it works. And you get the concept inside your head, and then go with it, and maybe you can save a few of these men. Maybe you can't. That's in the wind. I don't know. I like to believe if you save 10 men during your life as a Mgtow, that's 10 times 30,000. That's 300,000. Those 10 men save 10 men. Then all of a sudden we got 3 million and then 30 million, and things will progress. But simple concepts of we seem to be lacking on the simple concepts of how they incorporate their ideas of traditional conservatism into the child and into the young adult. And that's all I wanted to say today, and I hope I didn't go on too long, man. Thanks a lot.